Hello, I'm John McNamara, and this is another episode of HursleyFM. I'm here today with three legends from Hursley. Guys, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Total silence now, isn't it?
Yeah. He's on his own, really.
Hi, I'm Adrian Moorman.
Hello, I'm Jez Calway the First.
And hi, I'm Joshua Carr.
Fantastic. So, as is fairly normal, should we kick off with bits of news, tech news I found interesting? Could I go first? Because I've got a feeling that you might actually have the same news item as me, and just for once, I'd like to be first, if that's okay.
What? What, man?
Unbelievable.
I know, I'm sorry.
Surprise this.
It just saves me making stuff up halfway through, it's much better. But time travel's been invented just to try and upstage Adrian and Jez. So, get this. Do you remember the film 2001?
Yes.
Okay, they all went into that big spacecraft and toddled off towards Jupiter, and they're all in hibernation?
Toddled. They toddled off.
I think that's a technical term for space travel.
Right.
Bottling.
Discovery.
That's it. Well, do you remember they all went into hibernation?
Yeah.
Right, so NASA is actually bona fide researching it. And they've actually got a substance, or they've got a mechanism called rhino chill, which puts you, I know, isn't it great? If it's called rhino chill, it must be...
Sounds like one of those spam adverts that I get.
Security threats coming up. Rhino chill. Yeah.
Rhino chill.
Exactly.
For men.
You need rhino chill.
You can go for several weeks without washing with new rhino chill.
You can go to Mars with rhino chill.
So anyway, so they put you to sleep, and the way they do it in the way that bears hibernate, and they have these kind of like these tubes which kind of go up your nose into the base of your skull. I know, sounds a bit iffy, and they pump this liquid on the outside of your brain, and that simulates hypothermia and sends your body to sleep. Isn't that fantastic? So the idea is...
You go back up again, they pump caffeine directly through those same tubes.
I think it's how it works. That's right.
Caffeine and ice cream.
To be fair, they can do that already by just going to where I used to live as a student in Hull. You could just go there and have the exactly same effect of just being frozen
like
for
the hangover I once
half of the year. And sleeping. But yes, and of course the benefit of doing this is that you don't have to carry a lot of food with you. There's all the kind of sanitary subsystems that you need to have that'll be working continuously and maintained. And NASA reckons that they can halve the weight of the storage of the supplies that go along the spacecraft, and so they can fit in more people. So you can double the number of people that go to Mars and build a colony with the same size spaceship, which is, I think, actually really awesome.
Wow.
I know.
That's cool.
Isn't it great? So who wants to go next?
Everyone rushes.
We're like a well-oiled machine, aren't we?
All right, well, using that as a cue, well-oiled machine, very, very hot off the press within the last 24 hours, Tesla have announced their new vehicle, which is the Model D for, well, I don't know what it actually stands for, Delta or something like that, but it does have a few rather interesting things. It's got a substantially enhanced autopilot capability, and one of the things that it includes is forward-looking radar, as in your average fighter jet, and so it's continually scanning cars in front of the Tesla, and it's extremely long range, so it can see through fog, snow, sand, whatever. What else have they got? It's got very, very high performance. So the description of it is when you hit the acceleration, it's like being launched from an aircraft carrier.
Wow.
It can do from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. And the actual acceleration has 3 settings: normal, sport, and insane.
But cup holders, Adrian, how many cup holders does it have?
I have no idea.
Priorities.
Exactly, yeah. How about Jez, about yourself?
So I could give you a quick rundown of a few things that have been going on,
Ooh.
mostly towards the end of September. How about photonics news? In groundbreaking achievement, chemists successfully capture moving images of a single molecule as it vibrates and shifts from one quantum state to another.
Wow.
No way.
Now, I'm going to not even try and pretend I know what that means, but I do know it's important.
Can I nod in a sage manner?
Yes, please do.
Okay,
It
yes.
makes me feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I have questions, Jez, but I don't know if you can answer.
Is now the right time, Joshua? I'm just a conduit for news.
I think the questions are focused on what is your name and what is your favourite colour. I think it'd be all right.
Oh, that also, China, this is physics news. China is building the world's largest super collider with a circumference of at least 80 kilometres, making it over twice the size of the Large Hadron Collider. There you go. That was quite interesting.
It was.
And perhaps finally, medicine news. Researchers have developed a new medical device that mimics and enhances the properties of the spleen to filter deadly pathogens out of the blood, including E. coli and Ebola.
No way.
Way, dude. Way.
So what is that? Is that like a new spleen you get, or is it just an injection?
Well, it mimics it. Yeah, it's an actual device. There's a picture of it here, but I can't really share it. But it's a device that mimics those properties. So
Wow.
Quite useful. I also read that robotics news. There's been like this artificial robotic skin that's been developed so that robots could conceivably have touch sensitivity.
Not that it segues too nicely into what I was going to say, but I was reading yesterday that for the first time we've been able to create bionics that link into the nervous system, where two patients were able to delicately pluck the stem of a cherry using what they described as touch sensation.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's a similar sort of. I mean, it's amazing stuff. It really is, and I love like sharing that kind of news because that really is like pushing the boundaries of our understanding of what. Well, ultimately, I'm a bit worried that we might all end up as cyborgs, but apart from that,
worried? That sounds phenomenal.
Well, the really scary possibility is that we actually already are.
Adrian.
I wish. If only I was. Trust me, this has not been designed.
that earpiece on John's head, that's actually his head. But yeah, so that's a few little news tidbits to share there.
Sweet, buddy. That is awesome news. So, Joshua, we have got a special guest along. In fact, he was the very first guest on HursleyFM way back about 3 months ago, and now he's back incredibly for more punishment.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well. This time I'm not in the same room as Jez after the comments about how lovely or nice my lingering smell was. So I haven't forgotten. I really haven't forgotten.
No.
I miss your musk. I spend sit at your desk when you're not there sometimes.
That's probably the most disturbing thing I'll hear all week.
The podcast has only just begun.
I can't get a mental image of Jez just strolling around my desk sniffing. Never mind. But yeah.
Well, that degraded fast, didn't
it? Sorry, Joshua. You were saying about developers.
About developers, yeah. So I'm here to plug something, obviously. Hopefully it won't be too shameless. But I wouldn't be here telling you guys and your listeners about it unless I thought it was something that was worthwhile and worth getting involved in. And there's been a big push recently about producing developer eminence and raising our profile both internally and externally. And I'd been working with some of the marketing guys, and I probably should have looked up all of their names, but Kelly Hopkins, her team from the US have been involved, and we've been working with them. And they wanted to have quite a fun representation of IBM developers, because rightly or wrongly, in some instances it's correct, but in some instances it's not. IBM developers are perceived as your typical mad scientist, hair, socks and sandals, big beards, and very smelly, which Jez again may attest to. But although we do have those mad scientist, nutty professor types, we do have a wider variety of guys. And when you think of a traditional IBM developer, you wouldn't think of someone in their 20s on social media. And so we were having discussions about how we can engage and inspire our developers internally, but also produce a more accurate representation of who we are externally. So the long and short of it is there is a Twitter handle which you will be encouraged to sign up to participate and essentially own for a week. Now, you don't have to own it by yourself. If you want to own it as part of a team, that doesn't have to be an organizational team. It can just be you and a bunch of friends who do something cool in your spare time. And the idea is that you would own this Twitter handle and you can use it within BCG limitations, essentially however you want to do it. So if you have a side project that you're working on and you think is really cool, you can use it to promote that and talk about that. And the idea is that the marketing guys want to take a hands-off approach. Now, they will have materials and they will have things that you can engage with. They've got lots of interesting facts and tidbits and pictures, and they've got a whole site that you can utilize. And essentially, if you get stuck for things to say, you can steal something, or you can use it as a launch pad. Now, I think if there's anything particularly interesting going on in IBM, they may say, oh, have a look at this and give us your honest opinion. But again, it's a bit how we approach developer outreach, which is open and honest conversations. They want you to talk about things that you find interesting. So the benefits for you is obviously you get to improve your developer eminence, and from a selfish perspective, you would obviously say today and this week my Twitter handle, or if you're a group of people, each individual's Twitter handles will be controlling the Twitter crazy about code is what they're calling it. So you would say today I am crazy about code and this is my Twitter handle. If you think what I'm saying is interesting, come and follow me. And it will have all of the IBM major handles following it. And if you want specifics, if you're talking about the Internet of Things, you want IBM IoT to retweet, then that will happen. And so, if you start producing interesting things and you take the time to work on this handle, then your followers will increase and your awesomeness and what people will, I like it when someone follows me. It's like, oh yay, someone I don't know's followed me. To me, that's kind of cool. John, probably with his billions of followers, is just like, oh great, another idiot's following me. But
and yet restraining order, Joshua, I don't understand.
But yeah, so you can do that, and the idea is that it's something that's quite fun. Nobody's saying that you can't use your own handle during that week. The idea is you just take hold of it for a week. The amount that they're expecting to call it successful on your behalf is quite low. They I think I'm going to encourage them to suggest maybe more than 3, but they said, oh, if you only tweet three things in the week, then that will be okay. Now, I think three things in 1 week when you've agreed to take a handle is probably quite low, but it depends on how interesting it is. Yeah. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be keeping leaderboards and tracking people's participation, and to the best of my knowledge, there will be prizes at the end of a year or at the end of a quarter to the people that have engaged with developers. So whoever got the most retweets and whoever had the most favorited. So encourage people to also follow and get involved in, and you can also win prizes.
So what's so what do we see as being the benefit for the audience, the external developers who'd be listening on this on our Crazy About Code Twitter handle?
So the people that are following it will get hopefully they'll get interesting perceptions on news that people are that's happening. In the same way that we follow subreddits and we follow interesting people on Twitter. The idea is that this handle will not only be interesting on a technology front, but will be each week a new topic or something that's new and interesting and something that you may or may not have heard of. When you follow one person, you get one person's perspective on things time and time again. But having a weekly host means that if you're following this handle every week, you get something new. And the idea is that if we have people engage with this handle properly, or who are properly engaged with the handle, then the plan is I would want to follow, because I want to see what people are getting up to, what people are talking about, and it just means that it keeps it fresh every week, as opposed to one small section.
Yeah, that sounds.
I suppose it's not too dissimilar to following a subreddit on a broader topic, right? But the topic just changes once a week.
How will you make sure that it's possible to link back to the original person? So if you're running it one particular week and somebody takes it over the next week, how could somebody who was following the handle recognise that you were no longer looking after it in a particular week? Is there not some risk of confusion there?
Well, I think maybe in the first few weeks it will become a bit confused, but you are able to modify your Twitter profile and say, you say, oh, this week at so-and-so's using it, and obviously we would encourage people to introduce themselves and say, hello, I'm so-and-so, and I'm crazy about code this week, and this is what I want to talk about.
Okay.
And when's it going live? When can we expect to hear great things coming from the new Twitter feed?
Well, we want to have a few people engaged and signed up prior to it going live. So the short answer is soon. The longer answer is as soon as people sign up. And there will be. There's no point in having saying it's going live and only having one person engaged. But marketing didn't want to pretend to be developers. They're doing this right. They actually want real people to engage and real people to get involved. Or by people, obviously I mean developers. Marketers are also people too.
Marketing are people too. Yeah.
Yes, they are. So design and UX and managers aren't people though, so that's okay.
So being a manager that I am, I can actually see loads of benefit for folks in my team probably wanting to get involved. We're doing some stuff with cutting edge technology, things that haven't been done before. Is there any restriction on what type of developer can sign up? Or maybe, is it possible that a group of them could sign up together?
Yeah, well, a group would be fantastic, because it means that there's going to be lots of content that are coming out. We've been able to negotiate, or I've been able to negotiate it so that there's no restriction on what you talk about, as long about whatever you want and engage however you want. The idea is that it is an open and honest representation of a developer or a group of developers, and if they've got a side project that they're working on and they're doing in Go, that's fine.
Right. So how do they sign up?
We want to get a handful of people, so the first place would be to email me and say I'm interested in this, and there will be a community, a connections community, and there's also the marketing site is a Tumblr, which is behind a password. So basically, essentially get in touch with me, I'll give you the password to the Tumblr, you can see the type of things that they're looking for and looking at, check that it still resonates with you, and then you can join the community where there'll be a timetable of people and who will be looking after the handle per week.
Perfect, I'll let them know.
Excellent. Sounds really, really good.
Fantastic, yeah, and that's basically it. So I'm only here to shamelessly plug stuff that I think people should get involved with.
You have no shame. You have no shame at all.
No shame. Zero shame.
Shame extracted.
That's one of the things I respect about you, Joshua.
I will take that as a compliment.
It was intended as such, sir.
That's awesome. So, Joshua, we'll put a link in the notes for people who want to get in contact. We'll put a link to the Twitter ID that goes live, and also as well, we'll spread a good word within Hursley too for developers who want to get involved and get some good stuff out there. And thank you so very much for joining us. And do you have a few minutes to stay on and listen to us talk about amazing things we've discovered?
No, absolutely. As long as you don't mind me laughing in the background.
That's all right.
That's all about the encouragement.
One thing I wanted to talk about was, and it's not really tech news as such. Well, I guess in a way it is a bit. I picked up Alien Isolation for the PS4 very recently, and Josh was so scared he's immediately left the room. Even the mere mention of it has tipped me over the edge. So, are you guys familiar with the game?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I am. No, I've seen the trailer. No, I am.
So, all right. So there's been a few Aliens type games, Alien vs Predator, Aliens, Colonial Marines over the past few years.
We don't talk about Colonial Marines. It never happened.
I know. And it's the. I wish I could. I paid full price for that game.
Colonial Marine.
Yeah.
Did you pre-order it? Thanks.
I'm sorry, John.
I know.
Sorry.
I'm
sure you had to take one for the team there, didn't you? Because
I had.
we were all wondering whether or not the reviews were actually that. The game was that bad because the reviews were just. Oh, they pasted it. It was awful. But look at John's face, everybody. That's how bad it was.
This is the face of a man who paid full price for Aliens Colonial Marines.
It's awful. It's bad.
Why did I do it? Why? I mean, you can see like gifs of like aliens walking around like this, just ridiculous stuff. But anyway, I was a little bit reticent about buying Alien Isolation, but I'm really glad I did. And the premise is you're kind of alone-ish on a giant space station, and you have one alien that's kind of hunting you all the way through, and it is really scary. It is really, really, really scary because it's not thrown at you all the time. You don't quite know when the alien is there or not, and they've got these lovely touches where when you're trying to escape or trying to get in communication with the outside world or another ship, you'll hear something in the background, and instinctively you'll just run into a cupboard and hide. And you won't even know if anyone's actually there at all. But there's some lovely moments where you'll see something at the corner of your eye and you'll run into a cupboard, and it's got those almost psycho-esque moments where you see the grills in the cupboard you're in.
Oh, yeah,
you can see outside, and there's this thing like just wanders past like this and stops, and then just turns around towards you and kind of like sniffs a bit, and then wanders off. You go, oh, I'm okay, and then you go outside, you'll go rah, and pounce on you. It is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and they've got the atmosphere down wonderfully well, and also I really love Ridley Scott's vision in the 1970s of the future. They've kept that down to an absolute T.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's all kind of retro futuristic. So all the computers have got big green screens and like 8-bit graphics and make these like noises, and also they've still got cassette tapes for recording things. So if you find a cassette tape, you plug it in, it's like so it's really back to the 70s and 80s. It is phenomenal. So I definitely recommend it. IGN panned it. I don't know why. They get 5.9 out of 10, but I just think it's just amazing. And so that's my bit.
Well, I've gone more commercial. I'm playing Destiny at the moment, and it's very good.
Yeah.
Very good sociable sort of gaming. I'm enjoying that a lot.
I'm level 18.
Are you?
Yeah.
24. I don't have a family.
I won't have one soon.
I'm afraid, classic hangout stuff. I've got people knocking on my door, so I'm going to have to drop, I'm afraid.
Okay, all right.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on, Josh.
Care. Have a good buddy. Take care now.
See you soon.
So I walked away a second ago because I had someone coming to read my electric meter. So.
Oh golly!
The doorbell went, and he was like, "I'm here to measure your electricity meter," and I'm like, "Okay, come in." I didn't know where it was. It was quite scary because he knew where it was and I didn't. And this is the house that
that's happened a couple of times when they've come around to my house as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very.
He didn't have like some.
Well, I suppose they take record
with your background.
Yeah.
Just playing.
No, he was polite. He saw that I was talking to a microphone, like sort of gave me a confused look in a partial wave and wandered out the door. So that was fine.
Awesome. So Adrian, yourself, any further tech news you want to finish off with?
Yeah, there was one rather interesting thing that I saw a report. Lenovo have just released a new tablet technology. It's one of its Yoga line, and the Yoga Tablet 2 Pro is an Android tablet with a 13-inch screen. Well, that's a good-sized tablet, but what makes it particularly interesting is it's got a built-in projector. So if you imagine your normal tablet and then hold it in landscape mode, and imagine like a battery pack attached at the top, I don't know if that is a battery pack, but because of the tubular effect, almost like a torch perhaps, one end has like a lens and that can project onto a display.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so you really have got a completely portable projection system, complete with the tablet to have the notes so you can see exactly what you're projecting and everything.
That's phenomenal. Do we know, is it projected? Is it any good? Is it kind of useful? I mean, are there any reviews of it so far, or is it just really say?
It's only been announced within the last 24 hours, so I think it's interesting more from the point of view of the way in which tablet technology is starting to encroach more and more onto what we would think of as traditional laptop space.
Yeah, and it's only been, I guess, if you think back to Next Generation, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, when you had those, they were called pads, weren't they? And effectively tablets, which could transfer information by near field technology, and also project as well. We're there.
Yeah. In fact, if you go back to a comment you made right at the top of the podcast in 2001, there is actually a scene very early on when they're in the Discovery spaceship, and they are using a device that, to all intents and purposes, looks like an iPad.
You heard it here first. Okay, guys. We're now 11. We're 50 minutes past 11. So if we wind it up. Say thank you very much, Josh, for coming on. Thank you for Jez. Well, they could be bothered to obviously take part in the discussion. And Adrian, thank you so much, mate.
Always
Take care.
Thank you.
Cheerio. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
See you later.